Today we're checking out the new Evolve 70 and Evolve 90 column array systems from Electro Voice. These are column array speakers with either a 15-inch subwoofer or an 18-inch subwoofer on the bottom. This is one of the first, if not the first, column array system that I've seen that has a subwoofer of this size. Most column array speakers like this usually have a 12-inch subwoofer at the max, and that is including the popular Evolve 50 and 50M models, which I've been a big fan of, and I've used those basically since they came out. This is a really big upgrade. You can see from this video footage the difference between the 50s, the 70s, and the 90s. The top speakers are also larger and have more output power as well, so it's not even just bigger subs, so it's kind of like the Evolve 50 on steroids. I got to hear these at NAMM 2025 this year. The demo they did for these was perfect. The low end on those Evolve 90s was insane. Whoever put that demo together, props to them. But I have used this system at a couple of shows recently, and I'm going to share my experience with you. I'm also going to go over the speakers in detail so you can decide which of them is right for you and make the decision that's best for you and your music needs. Just FYI, these are column array speakers, not line array speakers. Some people will call these line array speakers, but they technically are column array speakers. And I say this because some people get really annoyed if you call these line array speakers. I'm a huge fan of column array speakers, the simplicity of the setup, but a lot of people have said they want more power, especially in the low end, and that's what's really cool about this new system. I do want to say many thanks to Electro Voice for sending these over for a review for the channel. This is not a paid video, and just as always, all the opinions in this video are my own. However, for full disclosure, they sent me both the 70s and the 90s. They sent me a pair of each so that I could do this video, and then at the end of the video, I get to keep one pair of them, and I'll let you know which ones I decided to keep between the two towards the end of the video. That's enough for the intro. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed, and let's check out the Evolve 70s and 90s from Electro Voice. If you've never set up a column array system before, it's unbelievably easy. You get this nice case that contains the speaker as well as this pole right here. On top of the subwoofer, there's a little hole, and you'll put the pole in there, connect the speaker on top, and congratulations, you are all set up. It takes like 20 seconds to put this thing together, and the beauty about this is that there's no stands that are sticking out. It's just all in one. It's not a trip hazard, easy to set up, great sound. I love this type of a setup. Now let's go over some of the inputs and outputs. So on the back, going over some of the inputs, first of all, you have two mic or line inputs. These can accept XLR or quarter inch. You have another stereo line input that can also accept XLR, quarter inch, or RCA. You do get an AES connection up here if you're doing a digital connection, which is a nice touch, and there is a through port specifically for that port. You also do have a Bluetooth input, which you get to right here, and I'll show you how to set that up when we go over the menu in a little bit. Down here, you have a mix out, so this will send the audio signal post fader for all 8 of the inputs. They're going to be mixed and then passed out through the mix out. You also get a subwoofer only out if you want to connect more subwoofers with this. And you also have the QuickSmart Link right here. This is a really cool feature that allows you to connect 2 speakers together via a Cat5 cable. This is definitely really powerful, and I'll show you that a little bit later. Very cool feature. Something that I really like about the system is that it has a PowerCon connection, and it's a locking PowerCon connection, which is a nice upgrade from just a standard IEC cable, so you don't have to worry about it getting unplugged. Those are your inputs. Let's go over some of the menu options so you can set this up and which way suits your needs. Okay, so when you power it up, you've got some pretty simple controls here. This is your main wheel right here. If you push in, you can get to the main menu, and then you use the jog wheel to select something. This fader right here is going to tell you your master volume, so you can bring that up +10 all the way down to off. And you can also select one of the inputs. So if I go to input 1, I can also turn up input 1 or turn it down. Go to input 3 and 4, turn it up, turn it down, the Bluetooth, up and down, and so on and so forth. Let's get into the menu. The sub configuration I'm actually going to go over later because it's a little bit more advanced. You have a mode option right here. So if you're using this for club, speech, live, or music. So if I'm doing a DJ set, I would probably do music, live for bands. So that's what I'm going to leave it on. You can set the subwoofer level itself, which is very nice. You can bring it up to +10 or basically turn it off if you want the sub off. For one of the gigs that I had it at +8, which is quite a bit actually. I don't always need that, but the option is there. You have your general EQ, treble, mid, and bass, but you actually get more than that if you go into the main EQ right here, and you get more of individual frequencies here. So I can turn down 63 hertz if I wanted to, and then bump 2.5 kilohertz if I wanted to as well. So you get more fine-tuned than just bass, mids, and treble, which is really nice. You can also change the mode and set it to a parametric EQ instead of a graphic EQ if you want these type of settings. But I personally like the graphic EQ instead. Next up, there's also a delay setting, so you can turn this on. You can put a delay to the speakers, and you can set it to however many feet you want, or you can also set it to either feet, milliseconds, or meters, which is very helpful. I had to use this because I used the 90s for my main speakers, and I threw the signal to the 70s, so I actually had to use this feature, so it was very nice to have. I like that it has it in feet, milliseconds, and meters. And also you can set a delay of just the subwoofer itself as well if you want. So these next three, speaker out, mix out, and sub out. The sub out and then the mix out are for the ports, so those XLR outputs. So the mix out, do you want that to just be left or just be right or be both left and right? And if you notice, the speaker on top actually changes. So if the mix out is left, it automatically sets the speaker out to the right and vice versa. That's actually really cool because the speaker out is actually your main speakers. So it knows, oh, if you're sending the mix out to the left speaker, then this one is probably the right. Definitely a clever design. I like that they did that. The sub out, do you want it to be pre or post effects? So pre effects or post effects, all the processing, or just send it naturally to the other subwoofer that you're trying to connect. Here's some settings for the Bluetooth. So you can have it on. The easiest way to get it to pair is to just hold the pairing button. It says hold for pairing, and it'll tell you, it gives it an ID number. And you can see it says it's pairing, and you can see it showed up on my phone, just like any other Bluetooth device, and I can connect to it that way. And you can see now that it is connected, it says this audio pair right here, so it has connected via audio, but not the streaming app, which I will show you in a second. If you do want to enable the app, you do have to go to control pairing and enable that. Very nice to have Bluetooth, and one of the really cool features in here is you can actually link two of these speakers together. So on this one, I would just push link speakers. On my next Evolve 70, I can just go to enable linking speakers as well, and the two of them will link together, and I can play Bluetooth through both speakers. If you want them in stereo as well, you can set left and right on each of the different speakers, which is really cool. You can have a true stereo Bluetooth speaker setup. You also can enable auto reconnect if you want these to link up next time as well. And you can see I'm getting a signal on this Bluetooth channel, even though I originally connected to the other speaker via Bluetooth, because these are now linked together, which is really cool. I use Bluetooth to play music during our breaks, so this is a perfect feature for that. You can turn the LED lights on or off, or just when it hits the limit. For the display, a couple of things you can do here. You have a pin lock, which is really cool, so you can set it to off just for tuning or for everything. Tune only locks a certain number of features. I think most of you are going to want to lock all of them, so that's what I'm going to do for this example. So let's just set the pin to 1, 2, 3, 4, confirm it. And now, in order to make changes, you can see I have to enter a pin. And now I can start to make changes to everything. But I'm going to actually go ahead and just turn that off. You can say how long do you want it to take for the screen to dim. I'm going to actually set that to 60 seconds. You can also adjust the brightness of the screen as well if you want to. 6 actually just worked well for the YouTube video. This is really cool. You can save all of your settings here. You can store it as a preset. So you can see I have one saved for my band 90% 90s. I can have another one saved for when I play with the corporate band. I can have another one saved when I do a DJ set, and so on and so forth. So let's say if I turn the sub basically down, turn the treble, I'm just making some changes, go to recall preset, and now all of my settings are back in the way that I had it. Very nice that you can save those. You also can reset everything to default settings. And there's a couple more, little bit more info in here as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to input 1 and 2. These two are actually the exact same. So if I want to access those parameters, I just push the button. Now it's selected it, so I can turn it up or down. Or if I push in on this, it will get me to the menu for input 1, which you can see up here. And also, just FYI, I can switch between 1 and 2 on here, or any of the inputs while I'm in this menu, which is helpful. But on input 1, I can say, do I want phantom power on or off? So if I'm plugging in, like a condenser mic, but I don't actually need that. You have different presets for different types of inputs. I have it set to line input because I plug in a mixer into these speakers, but you have other ones for percussion, bass guitar, electric guitar, acoustic guitar, speech. So depending on how you plan to use this, you actually can enable some of these presets in here, but I actually have it just set to line input. You do have a compressor, which is really nice, especially if you do speeches. Adding some compression for speeches is really helpful. It goes from 0 to 100. Since I have a mixer, I don't need that, but if you do use this, it's very, very helpful. You also get treble, mid, and bass control for each individual input. The ducker is pretty cool. It will turn down the volume when it detects audio from one of these inputs. This is pretty cool because if you're playing background music or something like that, and then you plug in a microphone into input 1, it will turn down the volume of the music when you start talking into the microphone. So it auto ducks everything else. This is how the manual defines it. Pause it if you want to find out more about how to use that. I don't personally plan on using it, but it is a very cool feature. If I go over to input 2, you can see that all of the settings are the exact same as we went over in input 1. And actually, I need to set my preset here to line input on input 2. Going over to input 3, you got a lot less with this one because it's a line input. You just have EQ control. Same with input 5 and 6. And then on the Bluetooth input, you have the same thing, but you have access to get to that Bluetooth menu that we went over earlier. And that is basically all of your controls on the Evolve 70 and 90s. And remember, the controls are the exact same on both of these systems. I was just demoing this on the 70s. So there is also the QuickSmart app, and you can control a lot of this with the app, which is really cool. So you can see I've connected, and it'll say connect your speakers. I'm not going to connect to my Evolve 50s. I want to connect to my Evolve 70s. Hit connect. And don't forget, you have to make sure that you enable the control pair. You have to put it into control pairing mode and then reconnect it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And you'll see you'll get this pairing request and hit pair. So you can see now I can control stuff. So you can see that I can adjust the volume level, and you can see it's actually showing up on the speaker itself. You can see right now it's muted. I have to unmute it in order to turn it up. I can change the sub level. I can change the EQ, change the sub configuration from normal to cardioid. But you can also click mixer right here, and you can make adjustments to each of the different channels. So if I need to turn up the level of the Bluetooth, I can just click that and then bring up that level. And you can see it is changing that on the speaker itself. I can also click these arrows up here in order to easily cycle through these. So I can go to channel 1, I can add some more compression. You have to use this wheel over here on the right in order to adjust it. Turn down the treble, bring up the ducking a little bit, change the level. Everything that we went over is basically available on the app. Change the preset. You can choose some of these different presets in here. Very cool that you can control this from the app if you're a fan of doing it on the app and not having to do it on the speaker itself. And again, you can actually connect to multiple ones. So you can see that you can select your speakers and you can select multiple ones and have control over all of them all at once. Couple more advanced settings. The subwoofer configuration. Most of the time you're going to want to use normal mode. Cardioid is really cool if you have two subwoofers. You put one facing the audience in normal mode and then flip the other one to face the band and either set it right next to it or stacked on top of it and set it to cardioid. If you do this, it will reduce that rumble on the stage and direct the sub frequencies to the audience. We've actually been doing this for quite a while. My singer has two Electro Voice 18-inch subwoofers, and we do this all the time. It really does help reduce that low rumble on the stage and directs the sub frequencies where they need to be. Very cool that they have that as an option. And you can also use one of these, which are meant for photography lighting, to keep people from putting drinks on your subwoofer. Bonus tip. And last but not least, that QuickSmart Link, which is really cool. So I'm going to connect just a standard Cat5 cable into both of them. I've connected into both of them. You'll see it'll prompt me, do I want to send or receive the parameters from the other one? So I'm going to set this one to send. This is going to be my main one. And then you get to choose. Do you want to run your speakers in mono, or do you want to have this one be stereo, left or right? And whichever one you choose, so I chose left on this one, it'll tell the other speaker to go to the right. So, going over to the other speaker and petting Kaylee. She's being very patient, waiting to go on a walk so I can finish the shot. But you can see it's connected over here. What's really cool is that I'm going to bring the volume down to -50, and you'll see it actually sent that over to this one. It's at -50. If I bring it up here to -28, go back over here, it's adjusted it to -28. However, the individual input channels don't change. So let's say on input 1, I'm going to bring that down to -17. Go back to the other speaker, and you'll see that my input 1 is still at 0. So you can definitely expand on your inputs using this connection if you do need more inputs. I usually use mine with the digital mixer anyways, but people will definitely find that helpful. And yes, it does send the audio through. So I'm just going to play some music. I've plugged into input 1. You can see I'm getting a signal right here. Going over to the other speaker, you can see that I'm getting a signal because they're connected via the quick link. You can hear that I'm getting audio as well. And even if I flip these as well, I'm going to bring this direct box, just playing music from Spotify, over to the other speaker. I'm going to plug that in. You'll see I'm getting a signal into input 1, but I can also see it and hear it over in this other speaker over here. Very powerful feature. Any sort of audio over Cat5, I'm a big fan of. I love this feature with this system. For those of you interested in specs, for the Evolve 70s, it's a 15-inch subwoofer, frequency range of 30 Hz up to 20 kHz, max SPL at 133 decibels, and the coverage is 120 degrees horizontal and 25 degrees vertical. For the 90s, the only thing that changes is the frequency response is from 28 Hz up to 20 kHz, maximum SPL 134 decibels, and of course, the subwoofer is an 18-inch sub. As far as pricing and options, both come in either black or white. The Evolve 70s are currently listed at $29.99, and the Evolve 90 is currently listed at $33.99 each. I will have purchase links down below in the description, or you can also use the QR codes on your screen. If you do use those links, it is a free way to support the channel and no extra cost to you if you do decide that these are right for you and your needs. So I think two common questions that I'll get asked about this is that one, is there going to be like a 70 and 70M model? No, it looks like it's just the 70s and the 90s. And they basically have 8 channels of signal on each of them. So it's basically like the M models. And the next question I might get is if you already own the Evolve 50 or 30, can you just put your tops on top of these with the bigger subwoofer? No, you can see from this video footage that the top is much larger. So you have to get the top upgraded as well. So if you already own the 30s or the 50s, you can't put your tops on top of these subwoofers. So I brought these to a couple shows recently. The first show that I brought it to, I actually had to bring both pairs of speakers because it was for an 800-person corporate event. There were 2 rooms that I needed to have speakers set up in. That's what they wanted. I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to try these out. This was such a hectic load-in. I got footage pretty quick because I knew I needed to get footage for the YouTube video, but also I was running behind. They made me park way on this other side of the building and then haul my gear with multiple trips through like this back way and then go park my car. If you've ever done corporate events, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This was one of those types of shows. So I didn't get as much footage as I wanted to, but I got some. You can see that we had the 90s right by the stage, and then the satellite speakers were the 70s. And bonus tip, if you're using wireless for this, make sure that you have the wireless transmitters and receivers above the audience's heads. You always want to have clear line of sight from the transmitter to the receiver. So if you're doing something like this and you have the wireless transmitters set down lower, like if you set them on the subwoofer, and then during sound check, everything sounds good, and then a bunch of bodies show up and then your wireless stops working, it's because bodies and people are really good at absorbing and blocking the wireless RF signal. So bonus tip if you decide to do something like this. But the speaker sounded so good. Like I said, I've used the Evolve 50s basically since they came out. This was a fantastic upgrade. Those 18-inch subs just sound so good. The kick was just so nice and full. It is really cool just to hear this type of sound, especially with a column array setup, because again, most of them are with 12-inch subwoofers. Now, the thing about this gig is that I didn't get to push them as hard as I wanted to. Again, if you've ever done a corporate gig, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but the volume has to be pretty low when it starts, and then you can kind of bring it up as the night goes on, but I didn't get to really push these to its full power. So the next gig was with my 90s band, 90% 90s, and this one we got hired to play the Denver Derby, or it's like the Kentucky Derby type of event, but for Denver. And this was a pretty big outdoor event, and we had to cover a good chunk of ground, and I was like, perfect, because I get to push these a little bit harder because I didn't get to push them as hard at the last gig. Originally, my plan was to bring the Evolve 90s to this one. However, the subwoofers literally do not fit in my car. Not in the trunk, not in the back seat, and not in the passenger seat. For that previous gig, my singer came down and he had to load up his car. The 90s fit perfectly in his car, and I brought the 70s in the mixer and stuff like that. So that worked. However, they did not fit in my car. So spoiler alert, I'm deciding to keep the Evolve 70s just out of practicality. That is something worth considering on your end as well. I was like, okay, I'm going to use the 70s. These are the ones that I'm going to keep. Let's push them a bit harder and see what they're capable of. At the beginning, I did a sound check and I played just kind of a backing track that we have that have no drums in it. It has a little bit of percussion, but not like a full drum kit, and it has some good sub frequencies in it, and it sounded great. I don't know if you caught that. Right at the end, my singer Anthony was coming over, and he says, those things sound effing sick. And I cut it off right as he was saying that. He said, those sound, and I hit the stop recording button. And I was like, no, this would have been perfect to capture his initial reaction on camera. But then when we finished up sound check, my drummer asked to go hear how they sounded. I was like, this is perfect. I didn't tell him I was going to do this, but I was like, I'm going to film his reaction since I just missed my singer's reaction. So he went out to the front. I played a full track with like drums and everything in it. And this was his reaction. Yes. That it was the perfect bass face for this type of speaker. So that was good to see. It was perfect. That was exactly what I wanted. You could really hear how much low end there is, even just catching it from my phone. There's a ton of low end that comes out of these speakers. I did get a couple of clips from the show. I do make this disclaimer every time I review a speaker. Hearing live footage from an iPhone is never ever going to give you an accurate description of how these speakers sound. You should hear a speaker live, especially even listening on YouTube when people do tone demos. I mean, YouTube compresses the audio anyways. It is completely different. You have to hear speakers live. Mostly what I want you to listen for is how far it's able to throw the signal, even outside, and also listen to how much there is good low end. You're not going to hear how nice and clear the low end is in this because, again, a phone is going to distort a little bit. So listen for the range. Listen that there is a good amount of low end, not necessarily for the clarity of the low end. Again, as always, thanks to our stage manager, Larissa, for getting this footage every time that I ask her, hey, can you get this footage for the YouTube video? This first clip was during sound check where I came out to check the levels.
Check. Well, outside, it's not to
Here's a song from a little further away. And here's a little further away, kind of to the side. And then here's one more featuring our drummer on lead kazoo. A sound guy friend of mine was there. Shout out to Daniel if you're watching the video. But he was out there and I asked him, I was like, how do these sound? He's like, dude, they sound great. He said the subs sound really good. It doesn't quite hit down to like the 40 hertz, which makes sense for an outdoor event with just two 15-inch subwoofers. But he said it was able to throw the signal pretty far. I mean, it's not going to go all the way to the other side where that other building was, of course. For something like that, you don't want to have like satellite speakers or you want to have a large like line array setup. But for an event like this was perfect. It worked really well, even just using the 70s. I have another outdoor event that's coming up next week. It's also another event that's outside. We've played there before. I know 100% that these speakers are going to be great. It's going to get great coverage. I have zero concern about this for this next show. I've been a longtime user of the Evolve 50s, and this is a great update to that setup. Anything for up to like 500 people, these are going to be great. You might actually be able to even push that a little bit more for indoors, depending on the event, of course. Always get the right speaker for the job, but for like up to 500 people, I definitely would trust this. And especially for events where I need more power than what the Evolve 50s have, this is fantastic. So who is this system for? Especially if you're already a fan of the Evolve 50s or the 30s, you just want more power, more low end, this is definitely a no-brainer. Or even if you have another column array speaker setup, because again, most of those have like 12-inch subwoofer. If you're looking to upgrade, this is an awesome option. If you want that chest-pounding kick drum, definitely worth upgrading to these, but you still want to have the ease of the column array setups. As always get the right speaker for the job. I've found after doing reviews on YouTube for a while, especially with speakers and PA systems, everybody's looking for a different type of setup. Definitely get the right system that's right for you. Up to 500 people with this setup and a nice low-end thump, it's definitely a great system to look into. It's great for bands, great for DJs, especially if you want more of that low-end that column array speakers haven't really been able to give you up to this point. And the ease of setup of a column array system, I mean, this checks all of those boxes. And I'm definitely going to keep using them for sure. Making the decision between the Evolve 70 and the Evolve 90s, remember the only difference is the size of the subwoofer, 15 inches or 18 inches. That's up to you. The 15 inches are definitely easier to carry. The 18 inches are pretty big. They're quite a beast in order to carry by yourself especially, but it also just depends on how much of that really deep low end do you want. That is all preference. If you really want that deep deep, low end, getting at least 18-inch subwoofers is the way to go. However, if you're also like me and I literally can't fit those in my car, then the 15 inches are still a great option. That's really a decision for you to make. I'm very happy with the Evolve 70s. Make the best decision that's right for you. So hope you guys found the video helpful. If you did, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you do decide this system is right for you, there are purchase links down below in the description. These videos take a while to put together, so if you do decide that these are right for you, using those links is a free way to support the channel at no extra cost to you, so I would appreciate it. If you are interested in a battery-powered setup, I have videos going over their Everse series, which is a fantastic battery-powered setup that they have. And also, I did review the Electro Voice wireless microphone system. It's actually a really good system. Most people don't realize that they do wireless mics as well. It's not just PA systems. They have a really cool wireless microphone system that I reviewed in detail. You can check out both of those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any other cool gear you want me to check out, please leave them as a comment down below. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages at Scott Yule Music. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.